Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Perfect. So I would like to check that who has already been joined because I need to basically give 5 minutes to my prayer. So I'll be joining back.
Right.
Okay, so I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Sure.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Zainab, can you hear me?
Yes, Walaikum Assalam, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So let me check with the attendees. So I think we have six, I think, 5 to 6 people. So Zainab, what are the instructions from your side? Can I start or I need to wait for a couple of minutes?
Sure, you can start, sir.
Okay, perfect. So, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Uh, Let me first introduce myself with all the attendees. My name is Bilal Mahmood, and let me check. Is this the first screen or? Okay, so my name is Bilal Mahmood. I've been serving IT industry for around 22 years now. This is basically my current portfolio. I'm working with connected environment and connected safety net. I am country director with them. I am basically the CEO of Pakistan as well. Along with that, I am currently chief information officer for DevGate Consultancy. And prior to that, I was CIO at Care Cloud MTBC. I was head of Pakistan MTBC. And before that, I worked for different organizations like Wiseman Innovations, which was Longhorn. I was CTO to Seven Sigma Technologies. I was basically head of PMO and head of the offshore Pakistan office for Broadpeak. You might know about that. The Nutsalis, which was earlier to Nutsalis. And then before that, I was with Knowledge Platform. So for these around 20 plus years, I basically worked in different domains. I basically worked with different organizations. Mainly, I worked with an organization with an offshore model where I basically, for last 10 years, heading different offshore models, worked in different domains, including e-learning, e-commerce. I worked in healthcare. For last 7 years, I had exposure working in U.S. healthcare. Then now I'm in the world of safety including environmental safety and human safety, workplace safety. So this is basically a brief about me. In terms of education, I did my master's back in 2000. um, I started my career in 2001, and in 2006 I did my MPhil. My main preferences in MPhil was quality and project management. That was primarily the time when basically I switched my career from quality control to quality assurance, and later in the project management, product management. So this is a very brief about me. And in all these 22 years, mainly my 15 years of exposure and experiences in quality assurance, quality control, quality management as a whole. So this is, and for last 10 years, my more focus is establishing organizations, doing the organizational development, setting up companies in offshore model, and then doing the complete program management for that. And this is basically a very brief about my career highlights. Let me come to the actual agenda for today, and what exactly I have for today. And I've been involved for Dice Analytics for around, I think, 6 months now. Or more than 6 months. I've been basically involved with teaching for for I think 15 years now. I've been teaching in different universities, including Bahria, Comsets, Maju, which is now I think it's CUST. So there are a lot of universities where I've been whenever I have a time. So because teaching is my passion, so I always get involved in trainings and teaching, and I always try to motivate, or I always try to educate the youngsters like you. I'm not 100% sure whether currently I've been addressing with the professionals, or they are just the students, or they have just completed their education, because in this session we don't have much time to discuss all that. So hopefully if you guys opted to go for a course with DICE, so we will be discussing all that in detail. So I basically in today's session kept a couple of things for all the different segments or different layers or different stages. If if you are a beginner, if you are someone just completing the education, or you're still doing your degree. So I have a couple of things for you, that why you can choose your career as a quality assurance engineer, what exactly the software quality assurance is, what are the confusions currently there while opting a career. What is the difference between quality assurance, quality control, what is quality management, what exactly you can do, what you can choose initially, and what your career path can be in future. So a couple of things like that. And what are the fundamentals, which is one of the core in today's talk, what fundamentals you need to learn so that you can accelerate your career in quality assurance, software testing, where comes quality testing, software testing and quality assurance. So these might be a couple of things we'll be discussing if you're a beginner. And if you are already a quality assurance personnel, you're quality assurance professional, and you are already working as a software tester or software quality assurance or software quality control engineer in an organization. So what sort of things you can do to accelerate your career, what sort of things you might what might be the do's and don'ts for you to learn more in your career, what sort of focuses you have in your mind, how you can basically plan for your career building for next 2 years or for a year or for next 5 years. This is something I can give you some help to plan your learning path for the future, and what sort of roles and responsibilities you must be focusing on, so that you basically train yourself or enable yourself or create competencies in your career to basically go a long way in your career. So might be such type of things. And then some dependencies the software quality assurance, software testers or quality control people have on other teams, what sort of expertise you must need to learn. I'll be giving you a couple of tips as well, that how you can basically prepare yourself for the interviews, how can you if you are a beginner, how can you perform well in an organization, what sort of tricks and tips I can give you on that. And then if you are belong to a segment where you are an expert, or you are an intermediate level resource, how can you become an expert in quality control and quality assurance. And if you also been planning that what career path you need to opt in future, what extent you will basically further take this career as a quality control, and what options you might be have in future in terms of business, in terms of the top-notch positions in an organization. So how can you basically prepare for that as well? Might be certain things I'll be discussing about those things as well in a very brief manner. And then what sort of best practices you basically need to keep on having in your expertise, so that you might get all those opportunities. And in my experience and exposure, what best a quality control or quality assurance person can have in his career, in his or her career. So that might be I'll giving you a couple of tips on that, what sort of tools and frameworks are available over there to learn. And there are certain other sort of expertise, other sort of verticals in IT, where you must know you must have knowledge about those verticals, like having something about the project management, having something about the product management. And you must have some other extra skills as well, like you must have knowledge of DevOps, you must have knowledge of infrastructure, you must know something about cloud computing. And these days, it's the era of you can say computer vision. So what sort of things you must know about that as well, so that those give you those all things basically give you a booster in your career to accelerate. So these are the couple of things I'll be discussing in today's talk. So if we'll talk about the quality, so in a layman's thought, he always thinks delivering something which is compatible, which is basically perfect to be in use, perfect to be used, or something which is compliance to your requirements, something fulfills all your requirements, something fulfill your needs, something which is easy to adapt, something which is easy to use, something which basically brings a sort of revolution in the workflow or usability or the needs of the of your job, daily jobs you're doing. So quality is all about that. And if I'll go towards some experts thoughts, so Deming is one of the expert in the field of quality. So what he says, it's better quality, greater productivity, and there is always a big debate which basically is between the quality and productivity. So this is something I have expertise. I usually taught courses regarding the quality and productivity as well, how you can increase your quality, how you basically invest in your quality to increase your productivity, what sort of relationship these two entities have. And then there is another very important aspect, is the aspect of the three most important things if you are just on a verge to join IT industry. So those three things will be very, very important for you, and those are basically called the triple constraints. Everywhere, whatever you're doing, you always keep those three things in your mind. And the fourth thing is always the quality. Those three things are basically the scope of the work you are doing, the time you basically have to achieve that scope or to complete that scope, and the last one is the scope, time, and then the cost, what exactly you are basically spending to achieve all that scope in a defined time. And the fourth thing is quality. These four things you always need to discuss, whatever business you are, whatever, whether you are in e-commerce, whether you are in your e-learning, whether you are basically running a website, whatever business you have, you always need to keep these four things in your mind, because you never have an infinite time, you never have can have an infinite scope, and your cost need to be limited, the cost need to be finite as well, and the quality that is always required to increase the productivity in the business. So these four things, we'll be touching them a bit, because those all four things are very important in terms of quality. If I'll go for a formal definition of quality, the quality is basically is a degree of a system, a component. It can be a process. So it's not always the product which you need to test. It might be a system, it might be a component, it might be a process you need to test, and there must be some predefined requirements for that. So you must be meeting all those requirements, standards, and whatever the customer requires, that also need to be compliant. So this is something you always looking in three different prospects. So you will be looking towards the requirement, the initial define or decided requirement, and then you must have some standards against which you are working, and then the needs of the customer. These three things you always keep in your mind to assure the quality of the product, quality of the system, quality of a component, or even quality of a process. So we as a tester, or I as a tester, always believe that in God we always trust, but everything else you cannot, but you need to test. So that is something we basically claim as a tester, as a quality assurance personnel. Some Why basically we need quality assurance resources, why this is very important in softwares, and what sort of problems we have in software. So I'll be touching a bit about it because I basically jump directly from quality assurance to quality control, to software testing, because I think I has an assumption that mostly people attending this session, they are basically from software industry. So there are so many challenges, and because of all those challenges, we always required, or it is always recommended to have a third party. It is recommended you have some third party opinion, you have a separate team, a dedicated team, which basically learns from the client, learns from the client's requirement, learns from the standards, learns from the customer needs directly, and then they as a third party, they evaluate what exactly the development team is doing, how they're basically constructing the system, how basically they're designing the system, how the system get built in, and then they basically need to review it as per the requirements, so that they basically need to assure that the customer adoption will be maximum. Because if the customer so one of the important thing you always keep in your mind is the customer adoption. If you have an excellent product, if you have customers against that, and the adoption is not good, they're not basically using it, or they're partially using it, or there are some glitches which basically not allows them to use the product completely, or with all its potential, it means you are lacking in the quality. So you basically, there might be some issues in your product, there might be the training needs, there might be some communication gaps. So this is all you basically need to resolve, and you need to increase the adoption of the customer. Otherwise, it's very difficult that you have a successful business running in your organization, or you yourself running a successful business. So this is always a removal of the glitches, communication gaps, and with having all these things get resolved, you basically have a good product which is basically suitable for the customers, and the adoption get increased, and they basically start using it. So the objective of a testing team is basically to achieve all that, whatever I have discussed a few minutes or a few seconds earlier. So they basically need to create a complete plan. They basically you just need to keep two things in mind: quality control and quality assurance. These are entirely different things, and you basically need to have different expertise, different tools, and different knowledge based with you to basically accelerate your careers in that. These two are so interrelated. There are so many interactions, or so many intersections between these two, that there is a big confusion in market. Most of the time, people requires a quality control or software tester. They announce a post for quality assurance. Sometimes they required quality assurance person, and they were basically advertising a tester request. So there are so many confusions which basically we need to address, that what exactly the quality management is, what is the difference between quality assurance and quality control. As a good quality resource, what minimum you need to learn as a quality assurance, what minimum you need to learn as a quality control, so that, and what sort of focus you have on software testing, which basically complements or give you a sort of a provision that you can perform well in your organization. Because sometimes one of the biggest challenge I'm currently seeing in industry, that lots of resources basically taken as a quality assurance resource in an organization, but unfortunately they were treated um, uh, like a sort of intern, or they were treated, they basically not basically been utilized for full of their potential, and this basically gives a sort of a damage to their career. And after I usually have interview different people who have 5 years of experience, 8 years of experience, but they basically know nothing about quality assurance. Why? Because they basically start focusing or start performing the stuff which organization demands from them, and they themselves have no expertise in them to basically take them to the next level. This is something always we prefer in our courses to help those people to basically give some of their time to improve their career, to take their career to the next level. So this is one of the most important part, which basically we as a dice analytics we give in our courses, that we basically take every segment of the experience or professional career to the next level. So this is basically the main purpose of all these courses, that we basically give you those tools, those technologies, those gadgets, those tips to basically enhance your career, so that you don't become stagnant, and you basically keep on improving in terms of a professional, and you always know what sort of opportunities you have in your career, what exactly you need to target, and where exactly you need to accelerate yourself, and where exactly you need to take yourself in next a year or 2 years. So you always give objectives to yourself as well, so that you keep on achieving all those objectives. One of the most important things for a testing or quality assurance or quality control resource, you must be aware of the concept of verification and validation. This is something we keep on discussing in different manners, that what sort of validations you always requires in a business. You always keep an eye that what exactly is needed in the market as a product. Are you sure you are developing a right product? This is what required in the market. What sort of adoption you will be expecting in future? What sort of return on investment you will be expecting from future? Are you sure this is exactly what your competitors are doing? And basically what exactly your competitors are doing, and what sort of value addition you have in your product. So this is something you need to know as a quality person, in terms of validation of your product, your process, and even in terms of if you are an organization which basically produce resources. So you also need to know the capacity and capability of your resources as well. The important thing is the verification. You also need to learn what exactly the verification is, what sort of tools, what sort of techniques you need to have in your career at different levels of your career. So you basically need to learn all those things. Is that how you basically verify, how you basically check whatever has been done, whether it is done as per the requirement, whether it is done as per the standards, whether those things are done as per the need of the client, so that the client start using those products, and a return of investment or the business will get flourish, and your business, because if there is no business if you're not have the happy clients, so it is very difficult to retain your business, and you accelerate your business. So this is something very important to know, what exactly the verification validation model, which is one of the best technique every quality assurance person need to know, that how basically you involve yourself with the methodology of the organization in terms of development. So that is something very important you need to learn. Then I'll come on to the first tip of the day. So this is something I think the most important tip I usually give to my colleagues, to give to the youngsters coming in this industry in IT as a whole, whether they want to become a quality expert or developer or even designer. They have interest in project management or any other functional department they want to come, and whatever sort of segment they are belongs to, whether they are an associate, whether they are an engineer, they're a senior engineer, they're a principal engineer, they're a team lead, they're a tech lead, or they are the managers, or they are even the directors, whatever they are, they basically need to learn these three verticals well. If you have knowledge of these three verticals, and you know how they basically these three verticals work in terms of the vertical flow as well as the horizontal flow, how they intersect with each other. So this is something a sort of a most important thing to learn at every stage, any stage of your career. And these three things have their own complexity in terms of the segment you belongs to, whether you are an engineer or you are a manager or you are a director. So the first thing is the SDLC or STLC life cycle. You must be 100% aware of that. If you belongs to software development industry, you must know what exactly the life cycle being followed over there, or in other terms, SDLC, STLC, software testing life cycle, what this software testing life cycle they've been followed over there. The second thing is the development methodology, whether they are on a conventional methodology, they're following spiral, they're following waterfall, or they are on agile. If they are on agile, which framework they are following, whether they are on Scrum, whether they are on XP, so they are on Lean. So that is something very important to understand. And then the relationship between these two, between the SDLC and the development methodology. The third thing is the project management phases, because whatever you do in an organization or whatever you do in a business, so you basically need to do a project, and you must be aware of the different phases and the complete life cycle of the project. And then these three verticals need to be discussed or learned in terms of their vertical flow as well as the horizontal flow, how these three basically interact with each other, what part of SDLC basically align with the part of the development methodology, and which part is aligned with the project management phases. So these three things need to be learned very carefully, and especially for a quality assurance or quality management personnel, it is more important, because they need to keep an eye on the process of the organization as well. So not having any knowledge about these three will put you in a situation where you cannot basically judge, or you cannot be basically treated as an expert. So this is something sorry, very important you need to learn. Then for software development process, you need to see that how basically you need to do the planning. Similarly, software testing process lifecycle is like similar to the, so you need to plan well, and then you need to decide what exactly you need to do, and you must need to put some checks. You need to put a checklist against that, which basically proves you, which basically gives you an surety that how basically well you are compliant to what you exactly you are, and then the actions you need to perform to achieve whatever you have planned. So this is something you always need to do, whichever department or whichever vertical of software development you need to get into. Then if I'll go forward, so there are a couple of principles you need to aware of. You always need to know that what is the most important stuff you need to follow, and you always need to see that what exactly the demands of the market, what exactly the demands of the product, and you always need to be compliant to that. If I'll move forward, this is something very important concept, which I give a minute or two on that. The cost of the quality. Sometimes there is a confusion that if you need to spend more on the quality, so this basically increase the cost of the product, which reduces the productivity. This is the most incorrect concept we have in our minds. Basically, the concept is prevention and reaction. So if you basically prevent the things, so that will brings a lot of reduction in the cost. So prevention cost is something which you basically need to bring in your organization by improving certain things, which brings a lot of decline in your costs. So for that, you need to set up good processes. You need to do trainings with your workers. You need to acquire good tools for that, and you need to do a lot of planning on your quality, so that something bad will never happen, and you prevent it before it get happened. So this is something you need to always inject some cost on that. And then the appraisal cost, amount spent after the product is built. So this is something where you sort of a reactive approach. There are issues, and now you need to cope up with those issues, because you have not 100% countered them in preventive measures. So this is basically another cost. So most of the time you basically need to invest in both the prevention as well as appraisal, but it is always better to have to inject something on prevention so that the quality of the products get improved and there is very less occurrences of issues later on, so that you need to inject less amount and less cost later in the stage. And then the failure cost, if something has been delivered to the client and the client get back to you. I usually give an example to ladies that even the men always understand that आपने किसी से कपड़े सिलवाए हैं टेलर से, and those dress, that dress is not appropriate, it is not acceptable to a woman, so she go back again and again to that tailor, और इससे जो cost आपकी increase होती है because of the failure cost, so he might need to redo the whole work. So this is something, the third level of the cost which you need to induct, which basically a very reactive thing. And this is something, as a quality assurance resource, you always keep in mind that that this is something you need to avoid as a failure cost in mostly in your product. So that as a quality control resource, you need to work very good in like first two things, so that there will not be much in this last third plate. Quality assurance is basically more focused towards the processes. They basically need to deal with the organization process. If you have good organization processes established, so that will basically help you to do the quality control. Quality control focuses mainly towards the product. So quality assurance is towards the processes. It's basically an enterprise level. It's basically a proactive approach, and quality control is a reactive approach. It basically helps to review the products. So it's more product concentric. So this is basically the major differences in, and these two disciplines, both discipline, and there are a couple of other disciplines in quality, like quality assurance, quality control, quality support. So these all basically comes under the umbrella of quality management. Okay, so there are a couple of things with quality assurance is more establishing processes, is basically measuring the performance of the processes. In other way, the quality control is more toward the verification of the issues later on. The quality assurance is validation, and this is something you need to understand as a quality resource. That what sort of percentage you need to put in terms of your education, in terms of your knowledge towards quality assurance, because without having the good quality assurance set up in an organization, you always struggle as a quality control people. So this is something a part of it. So in terms of softwares, you always requires a lot of things to understand, and you always required a lot of expertise in you so that you can become a good professional. So requirement specification and its analysis, and then software requirement specifications understanding, and then the user requirements specification. So this is something you need to get involved in the very preliminary stage, and these all things will be studied under the verification and validation model, that where exactly a tester need to be involved, where exactly a quality control or quality assurance personnel need to be involved. In terms of project management, usually in our courses we basically give 10% of our courses time to project management as well. Like, you must need to know what exactly happening in Agile, what are the best practices followed in project management, how you basically do the estimations, how they do the planning, how they do the complete designing of the sprints. If the organization is following Agile, so what Agile best practices you need to learn, what is the concept of test driven development, what is the concept of DOR, what is the concept of DOD, what is definition of done, what is definition of ready. These are the processes you need to establish in an organization as a quality assurance personnel. So so that you need to have a concept of program management office in your organization, so that you can flourish as a quality control person. Otherwise, there will be so many challenges you will be facing as a quality control, which sometimes are nearly impossible for a quality control resource to overcome with. And the product qualities and the quality of the processes, those basically not get enhanced at a level where basically it will be an easy job for the sales team or the marketing team to pitch all those products in the market, and you get good clients against them. So there are a couple of other things I would like you to have a look in. There are certain things where you must have some expertise, like change management, configuration management. These are the areas where sometimes resources don't give much concentration, where because not having a good knowledge, at least 5% of our time not putting in configuration management. If you don't know what is the DevOps, you don't know how to basically do the CI/CD pipelines, how you basically use your automated tools in the organizations, while plugging everything into that so that everything is automated. You don't need to do things manually. So knowing some knowledge about these things is something very important. DevOps is very important aspect. At least you must give 5% of your career's time to understand those things as well. And then the complete love then there is a complete sort of opportunity for in terms of the customer support, where sort of software quality assurance and quality control resources are very useful. Knowing the processes over there, knowing what the best methodology followed in the world for customer support, knowing the ITIL model, knowing what exactly the flow of that model, how you basically establish a department in an organization in ITIL. So because support is something, customer support is something which is always required in all the organizations. So how, as a quality assurance resource, you can establish an organization, these processes in organization. So this is something very important to learn it. If we'll quickly move towards the quality control or software testing. So the most important part of that is to learn different levels. So unfortunately, this is one of the most ambiguous thing in industry. So we need to learn that how we basically need to improve couple of things in our organization. Without improvement of those things in organization, it is nearly impossible to have good quality in products. Why? Because if here on the screen you're seeing 4 different levels or 4 different stages of testing. Unfortunately, the stage number 3, where the software testers and quality assurance and not the quality assurance, quality control people start working with. But the first 2 levels, most of the time, the quality control people have no idea about the first 2 levels, and they don't have expertise. So as a quality assurance resource, it is your responsibility, and that you basically need to raise your voice in the organization, that the first 2 levels of testing are very important, and there are these 2 testings are absent in the organization most of the time. 80% of organizations, they don't follow these first levels of testing, and all the garbage basically comes in front of the testers when they basically start doing the system test. So introducing the unit test, what sort of processes you need to establish in an organization to start unit test, what sort of different maturity level you can introduce in your organization, what is integration test, and what exactly the developers need to do for integration test. And sometimes you need to do some preliminary work for the performance as well as for the white box test. So those need to be introduced in the organization. And then as a tester, as a quality control resource, how you basically need to perform the complete life cycle of system testing, what exactly the acceptance testing is, how you can help um, the customers and or internal or external customers, both customer, and in both cases, whether you are into a B2B model in market, or you are in B2C model, or even C2C. So you basically need to decide what exactly you need to do for the acceptance testing, how you basically make sure that everything, whatever you are doing, is acceptable to the customer. So this is something very important to learn all these levels. And then what sort of testing strategies and methodologies you need to opt while all these different levels. Those are very important, whether at which level you need to do the white box, what extent you need to do white box, what is black box, what is gray box, what sort of extent you need to mix both of these. A hybrid sort of approach need to be used. What is incremental, what is thread, and this is something you need to establish the complete process in the organization so that everybody is quality cautious, not only the software quality assurance or quality control department. And then the methodologies, whether you need to do the functional, non-functional, and if it's functional, in functional, what sort of testing you need to do, what is black box, how you can do that, what sort of tools you can use that, and by what sort of expertise you need to bring in your expertise in your career, so to do all these sort of testing. So what exactly you need to do, and different terminologies which basically give strength to your testing process. There are a couple of important testing methodologies which basically usually absent in different cases. So you basically need to work on to improve yourself and then introduce it to your organization, and then the complete, how basically you set a complete testing or quality control department in an organization. So that is something very important. And along with that, the non-functional testing is also very important, that what exactly you need to do for that, what is security, what is performance. So there are so many other topics. What is usability? One of the most misleading term or testing is usability. What sort of laws are there in usability? So that is something very important to learn to become a good quality assurance person. And along with that, for the acceptance testing, there are so many types of testing. You basically need to establish a lot of processes. You need to establish a lot of knowledge in your organization, so that your customer must be aware of what exactly you're doing, how basically the product get introduced with them, and how they need to review. And this is also important for your organization, that you basically have proper process in place, so that you get sign off from the customers. You have all the proofs with you, that customers must have proper time before putting products in production. So they basically have a walkthrough, they have a complete usability tests before taking the products into the production, and their end users start using the product. So these are all the different sort of testings you must need to aware of. And then the complete life cycle, from the idea of the business to accomplish and getting an invoice from the customer when you've been paid from the customer. So the complete life cycle need to be realized, need to be understand. And then the testing or the quality control life cycle need to be defined, that what exactly you need to do against different development life cycles in while doing the testing life cycle. So that also need to be properly designed. Another tip which I basically need to give over here is if you are a middle level resource, and you've been given some responsibility to establish a department, and you need to give responsibilities, and you might be performing as a lead level resource in an organization. So creating strategies, doing the planning, creating the test plans, what exactly the test cases, what are the scientific methods of creating test cases, how to evaluate the test cases created by the team, what sort of strategies you are aware of, what is boundary value analysis, what is equals class partitioning, what is the CN tables, what is the straight transitions. These are the very important key things. What are the benefit of knowing all these techniques? What exactly the impact these techniques bring on the cost, time, and the scope of the product? And these three things always gives the quality of the product. So this is something very important in terms of quality assurance. We need to set the procedures to do the test audits, peer reviews. So this is something very important. You need to know all about all these, so that you can be an expert to perform all that. And you always came across issues when you basically do all these things, how you basically manage the life cycle of those issues, what exactly is the bug, what is defect, what is a failure. You need to understand that. You need to basically be more proactive rather than reactive in these approaches. Then what sort of tools you need to utilize to manage these complete life cycles, what are the different attributes attached in this processes, severity, priority. You need to understand all these things, and the tools basically which gives you a leverage to manage the complete life cycle of STLC in terms of the process automation. You also need to know a lot of things about that. Then another tip of the day is, if you're an expert resource, so and you are following the latest technology, the latest methodologies. So this is the need of the time, that you need to basically adapt the automation processes. You need to see how to automate the STLC, the software testing lifecycle. And then there is another sort of automation, which are which basically comes through the automated tools, that which tools you need to adapt in terms of the functional as well as the non-functional testing of the products as well. That is something very important to learn. And the setting up these tools, utilizing them on the right time, and and also knowing the knowledge of those tools. So that is something very important to learn. So as a senior resource, you need to opt all this. Why? Because the problem I'll discuss in last couple of minutes is basically the agile methodology. Most of the time now in industry, everybody claims that they are on agile, they're following scrum, but unfortunately, if I'll with my experience, I've dig down to all that. Unfortunately, if one thing I first need to discuss, if you're following agile, every department, every part of the organization need to be on agile. Your business development team need to be on agile. Your uh, your marketing, your sales team need to be agile. Your customer relationship team need to be agile. Your product management team need to be on agile. Your design team need to be on agile. Your development team need to be agile. And similarly, your testing team need to be, your quality control team need to be on agile. Your quality assurance team need to be agile. But unfortunately, if organizations achieve certain extent on agile, unfortunately in testing, it is still far beyond that. The agile principles and agile methodology, agile testing is something we are very much lacking. The organization needs follows agile, but the testing teams are doing the testing, and the quality control teams works on the conventional methods, which basically don't work, and this bring uh, total non-productivity in the environment. So this need to be understood. The first tip I have given is related to this thing, the SDLC. Second is the methodology, like if you're following agile, and the project management lifecycle, the three verticals I've discussed. So if the development team is on agile and testing is not on agile, and you're not doing the agile testing, so this brings a lot of sort of mismatch in the organization. So what are the principle, how basically the testing moves when the project get moves? You need to understand that testing, what to test, what not to test, and which, whether it is a phase, or this is something, a continuous process, that need to be understood by the team. And then whether you need to have a designated testers, or everybody need to test, what sort of feedback loop you need to have, how quick you need to get the you need to have the feedback in agile. That is very important. You cannot wait for the last. So it means that testing is not a phase, it is basically a continuous process in agile. This is something you need to learn if you are following agile. And then what exactly the testers expectations, what expectation is from the testers, that also need to be discussed. How quickly you need to resolve bugs, how quickly you need to get rid of the bugs, how earlier you need to get rid of the bugs. That is something a key in Agile. You cannot keep, or you cannot hang around with the bugs till the end. That is something which we kill the process, Agile process in the organization. Then the amount of documentation you need to do in Agile, that is very important. Agile don't recommend you to go into a mind that you need to create detailed document. This basically helps you to do a very fragile, very thin, very lean documentation. What exactly those are, or how to learn that, that is very important. And testing, and what exactly is the definition of done, and what is the concept of test driven development, TDD. That is very important to learn, because without knowing the knowledge of all this, you cannot claim that your quality control team is Agile, they are following Agile. Then there are a couple of practices you need to opt quickly, that there are certain things you need to introduce into the organization. This is something not primary job of the testers or quality control resources, but you need to introduce it in the organization, and that is the automation of the unit and integration test, which you need to bring in. Then the concept of test driven development you need to bring in. Then the acceptance test driven development, you need to bring these concepts in the organization, the concept of doing the exploratory testing. And then the linkage of the testing and development, because development is most of the time linked with the DevOps process, but testers, even they don't even know what is DevOps is. This is very important. And then the collaboration, where everybody can do test. At every stage you need to do tests, rather than making it as a phase, but it is a continuous process of improvement. So this is something you always need to learn when you basically need to claim that you are an Agile in testing. And definitely with doing all that, this requires cost, and whenever there is a cost, so you need to be very vigilant where exactly you're putting all that cost. So cost of good quality, cost of bad quality, you always need to have to know the understanding of both of them. There is a cost which you need to introduce, which basically reduces the bad work in your organization, and there is a cost which you need to inject in the system, which basically improves the already existed bad processes or bad things in your organization. So both need to be done. Why? Because if you're not taking care of all that, so the poor quality basically brings more cost, and the more late stage you explore the issues, more cost you need to, like the first day when I was in 99, I started my degree. The first day what in software engineering I have learned, in analysis phase, if you find out issues, it is less costly. But those issues, if goes from analysis to design phase, they have more cost in resolution. But if those issues goes from design to development, like they are in coding, so they basically cost you more to resolve in resolution. And if unfortunately those bugs goes into the testing phase, then the cost will get increased. So more earlier you find the issues, it means it brings a concept of testing the idea, testing the requirement, testing the design before testing the code. So that is something very important you can only bring in your organization by improving all these, because these basically eats all the profits organizations are making, and it will basically put you in a situation that where you never wanted to put so yourself. So putting some inducting some cost initially give you a lot of improvement in later stage. So that is something very quick introduction of the quality control or quality assurance and quality management, software quality control, software quality assurance, software quality, software testing course we've been basically designing and planning, and this is second, I think the third batch. This will be the third batch of this course. So now I'm pretty much done. I have no idea what sort of expertise you guys have, which industry you belongs to. So if anybody has any questions, so I'm open for that. Sorry, I think I took, I think 3-4 more minutes because we started late. So I'm open if you guys can unmute yourselves if you want to have any question. So I'm open for that. I think we have asked to unmute. Okay. Okay, Zainab, are you helping anybody? If anybody has any questions, so you can unmute them. I think
I
I
don't
don't have.
think so.
Okay, you cannot. Okay. You guys can WhatsApp
I
us.
think
So.
कोई question तो नहीं है. I mean, and nobody is speaking, so maybe you're getting the idea that nobody is participating. You might not be hearing. That's why I just unmuted my mic. नहीं, कोई question नहीं है. I'm joining the course के दौरान इंशाल्लाह देखते हैं. Although I'm
Oh,
not
sure.
a IT guy, but I'm changing my career. So let's see how it goes on.
Aga, it's a very good, I think, thing you've discussed. And I think in last batch, Zara, we had couple of resources who they were not from IT industry, and they, I think, a couple of the electronic engineer, and I think a couple of them were from, I think, some other, I think, degrees. So they basically opted quality assurance. So we basically
जी
gave them
मैं भी
initiative.
मैं भी मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर हूँ.
Oh, mechanical.
पाकिस्तान
Okay.
Pakistan में नहीं होता Pakistan. So I thought to change my career. Yeah.
I think, Aga, are you? When exactly you've done your degree?
In 2004 I passed. 2003, 2000 batch was. It's called 2000 batch actually. I passed.
Okay, 2000. Okay. So it means for last 20 years you're doing something.
Yeah. I've been doing mechanical engineering projects,
Okay.
but I'm Canada में तो इस कोई खास scope नहीं है यहाँ पे mechanical का. So I thought to change the career.
Okay. Let me give you an example. In Pakistan, there was an organization called Bentley. I'm not sure whether you heard about them or not. It's a big organization. It's a multinational organization. In Bentley and even in LMKR, most of their testers, they are mechanical engineers. Most of them, yeah, because they work for I had a couple of friends working over there. So because they deals with the oil and gas, so mostly they are the mechanical engineers.
Oh, okay, got it. Career
That's
switch कर लिया. Yeah. इस मैं AWS से कोर्स भी कर रहा हूँ. I mean, I think it's a good field software. कभी exposure नहीं है उस जिंदगी में. ना कभी सोचा, but time आपको sometimes drag कर लेता है into the things you never thought of. So it's been a good exposure. अभी तो DevOps का भी, in fact, I'll be starting another course with some.
Oh, that's good.
Forward.
That's good.
So,
That's fantastic.
तो let's see इंशाल्लाह कैसे जाता है software testing अभी.
Oh, sure.
इंशाल्लाह contact रहेगा. अभी तो पाकिस्तान आएंगे तो आप लोगों से एक दफा contact भी करेंगे इंशाल्लाह.
Oh, sure. Anytime. Okay. Anyone else had any question? Or I think thank you very much, all of you. Have a good day. Looking forward to meet you guys again, inshallah. Zainab, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.